We're ready to receive our next speaker, who is one of the people who I most respect and admire in the INFOSEC industry. I'm slightly nervous to introduce him and so happy to have him here again at DefCamp. So please, let's give a big round of applause to Jason E. Street. Jason, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, how you doing? It's like, let's start off this right off the bat. Title of this talk is, you're right, this talk really isn't about you. It's like, I was like, and we're at DefCamp. I travel so much, I always like to make sure I know exactly. I thought I was getting shot at for a second. I was like, it's like, usually they don't start shooting at it until halfway through my talk. Then they start, that's when they bring the guns out. Okay.
Doi.
Hey, hello. I'm going to pantomime my talk.
Take this one, please.
Hello? There we go. Okay. So yeah, this is my talk is like, there's going to be a theme through my talk, and it's a lot of it's about communication. And I think this is a great cartoon to start it off with, because it's the guy's going to say, your big project is running late. What can you do? And the guy's like, people are already flat out, conference calls morning and night, 60 emails a day, and half our time's in meetings. I don't see what else we can do. And so she's like, what do you think is the real problem? I think it's a lack of communication. You know, it's like sometimes we figure out, well, we don't know what the problem is. It's like, and it's never something that's right there in front of your face. Right off the bat, a little bit about me is you may have seen me rob a bank on Nat Geo, or you may have seen me in the news, but more likely you see me in your server room when I'm not supposed to be there, because that's one of the main things I like to do. And I realized that I've been very effective on a one-on-one kind of thing of security awareness, creating security awareness for employees. Usually it's after I come back and tell them that I've robbed them, and the reason why they shouldn't have let me in the door was because of this or that. And it was a good one-on-one kind of thing. But I realized, like last year, the year before that, it's like, we need to go bigger. We need to stop trying to do this one-on-one thing. So I stopped doing as many pen tests, and what I started doing is more security awareness engagements for the whole enterprise, trying to go from the enterprise level and like educate more people that way than just breaking in and like educating one or two people after it's already happened. This is a really important slide, because once again, we're talking about communication. And this is two major quotes from John F. Kennedy, an American president. And the one on the left, I really like it, because it says, when written in Chinese, the word crisis is composed of two characters. One represents danger, and the other represents opportunity. Isn't that inspiring? Oh my gosh, you know, you see this poster in yoga classrooms all over the US, right? It's like, you know, usually with like an eagle or in a lake background, something very majestic. There's only one problem with that quote. 100% wrong. Totally inaccurate. It's like I was giving a talk in Shenzhen and I was using that picture, and you just seen everybody just looking at me like, oh, no. They didn't even give me a chance to explain to them I knew it was wrong. They're like, no, you're American. No, it's like, I knew it was wrong. It's like, that's not what it means. But he's given credit to this day for being right. He's still used in inspirational talks, and people talk about it. They always use that quote because it's so inspiring, but it's 100% wrong. It's like, but he's giving credit for being right. And on the right one here, you see on the right, he says, Ich bin ein Berliner. What an idiot, right? It's like, oh my gosh, he gets dragged. I think they made fun of him on The Simpsons for that, right? He's still getting made fun of for that quote. And there's only one problem with that. He was 100% correct. He said it the proper way. If you're from someone from the city of Berlin, it's like, you know, Stephen can back me up on that. That's how you say you are someone from the town of Berlin. But he is still to this day ridiculed and made fun of. Sort of like information security, right? Sometimes the things that we say right, we're not getting credit for, and we're still getting heat for it. But some of the times when we say something that doesn't seem to be correct, you know, everybody loves it. It's like, you know, it's all about how you're presenting it and how it's presented to the people that actually make it effective or not. And one of the messages that we come across with is a really bad one. I hate this cartoon, by the way. It's like, it says, in this corner we have firewalls, encryption, antivirus, software, etc. And in this corner we have Dave. It's like that's supposed to be the representation of data security. And that is our problem. Right there in a nutshell, that's our problem. Because we in our industry would rather make fun of the users than understand that it's our fault they're like that. When we have a problem in this industry, it's like we usually like to come together and like, if there's an encryption flaw, or there's a 0 day, or there's a protocol error, we like to rally around it and like try to fix it, right? We want to fix it. We want to find the solution for it. But when it comes to our biggest flaw, our biggest vulnerability, we're not trying to patch it. We're just trying to ridicule it. We're trying to make it not our problem and somebody else's problem. We're trying to put technology in place. We're trying to get technology to fix the human problem instead of getting humans to help solve the technology problem. It's all turned around. I hate this cartoon so much. Do you know what I did? I whined about it a lot to my supervising adult at work, Jason Burns. He's my supervising adult at Sphere. And I complained to him all the time about how this was bad. This was like a bad image. So you know what he finally did? On his own, I didn't ask him to do this. On his own, he contacted the artist of this cartoon. And he paid for that artist to fix it. That's what it should be, correct? Why aren't we looking at our users like that? Why aren't they part of our team? Why aren't they part of our solution? Why are they a liability? Why do we ridicule them like they're a liability when they're the best asset we have? It's because it's easier to ridicule than try to fix something that we don't think we can fix. It's like, you know that one saying another saying that I hate, there's social engineering because there's no patch for human stupidity. It's like BS. It's like that patch is called education. And just because you can't do it properly doesn't mean you offset that blame onto the user. It's like, because I have to tell you, it doesn't matter what company you're in, what your employees do, they will do the job that's required of them. And that's one of the things we forget. It's like, and another thing that got me, and this happened like a week or so ago, I saw this article from the BBC. How can we stop being cyber idiots? And they literally were trying, they tried to make it where it was like they're trying to tell the users how to be better at security. But they did it in such a horrible, horrible way of making it, once again, putting the onus on the users, ridiculing them, making them feel stupid that they didn't know how to do proper security techniques. This is a horrible article. And I don't usually call people out, but, you know, guys, seriously, Mark and Matthew, do better. Because this is not how you actually get your employees to do a better job, by telling them how stupid they are. For some reason, that doesn't work as much as you would think, you know? It's like, so you ever did that to your boss? It's like, I would follow your orders, but you're really stupid, and this is not the way you're supposed to be doing it. See how that works. Try that on Monday and stuff, you know? And if anybody gives you a problem, say, Grifter said it was okay, so it should be fine. So it's like, you know, that's one of the things, again, in this article, if you read further down, which I love, because once again, I hate trying to people to pimp technology to solve the people error. And sure enough, further down, there it was, the story of, for example, ECS uses Takeon tool from security firm 1E to help monitor millions of PCs and what? So all that talk was basically a sales pitch for one of their products, you know, for security products. It's like, that's good reporting. It's like, expected it like in American news, but still, that's not how it works. It's like, you can't just keep getting technology to solve the people problem. It's not going to work, because humans don't think that way. And we're trying to understand that we're not looking at protocols, we're looking at people. And one of the other things that get me too, it's like, and this is a very disturbing picture, but I think it shows our point expressively. Humans will do what is required for them to be employed, period. I'm sorry. If this is a job, this was an actual job. It's like, I'm sure it still is. It's like, but this picture is like from the 50s or something, I think. It's like where people were testing deodorant. Stop trying to say that it's not part of an employee's job to do security. for them not to be security conscious, that it's not part of their job, that they don't have to worry about that. They will do what is required for them to keep their job. We're not making them responsible for it. We're not giving them the consequences if they do something wrong about it. It's like, who here has a service or a company that requires a delivery driver? It's like, how many people on the first day that they hired the delivery driver, they go, well, we hired you, here's the keys to the van. It's like, you know, have fun. It's like, here's the delivery route. Good job. Do we do that? No. That's like a $50,000, you know, $100,000 vehicle. It's like, we're not just going to hand it to them. They got to go through our training courses. They got to learn what our rules are. We put GPSs in there to track to see how fast they're going. We put a sign on the back of the van so people can call if they're behaving badly. We make sure that they understand they have to follow the speed laws. We got to make sure that they understand they got to use their seatbelt, that they got to use their turn signals, that those are part of the requirements for them to keep their job. Correct? And when someone starts the first day of the job, it's like with the computer, do we tell them anything about the security parts of it? The aspects of how to protect it, how to keep it secure? Usually it's like, here's your computer. It's like, if something happens, you know, here's your IT support number. Call them. We're not making it part of their responsibility. So if we're not making it part of their responsibility, why do they care again? Because, I'm sorry, people don't do things outside of what's going to keep them employed. I mean, I actually Googled excited worker. And literally, the only thing I could find were stock images. There were no actual excited workers. And I guarantee you, as soon as that photo shoot was over, that excited worker model was like, as soon as it was over, he's like, oh my gosh, I hate my job. You know? It's like, that's how people will not do anything more and above that will not negatively impact their job. So if we're not making the requirement for them to be security conscious, it's like, then why would they try to be? If it's not part of their job. If that's extra work and they consider it extra work, how can that really be their job? We have to understand and let them understand that it's not extra work. It's part of the requirement for them to be employed. They have to take those rules. Because once going back to the delivery driver, your delivery driver gets in a car accident, right? It's like, what happens to him? Is it okay, see you later? It's like, you know, too bad. It's like, you know, we'll buff it out. They get written up or they'll get re-educated. If they wreck their van twice, what's going to happen there? Probably, you know, maybe some counseling or something. I don't know. It's like maybe the driver's school get reassigned. If they wreck their van 3 times, do you think they still expect to be employed at that company? Probably not. That's a $100,000 piece of equipment, right? At the same time, we let users get breached by a spearfish email that's cost, let's say, Target, you know, over $300 million. And what do we go? Oh, that's just okay. That's just business. We're more concerned about a $100,000 vehicle and put more responsibility on the operator of that vehicle than we put responsibilities and ownership of the problem of the equipment of the computer to regular users. Why would they take it seriously when they consider information security just one step above the janitors? System gets breached, send security in, they're going to have to reformat the machine and re-put it in and fix it, and everything goes back. They don't see any consequences to their actions. We have to start showing users there are consequences to their actions. I'm the guy right now saying straight up the unpopular thing. It's like, which I'm going to get dragged for. But if your employee gets caught in 3 different spearfishing campaigns, it's like not the test that you do. It's like they should get re-educated for that. But if they get caught with at least 3 different spearfishes, they should be fired. Why are you letting them still on your company and on your network? They are jeopardizing your job and all the jobs of your employees. It's like by not doing proper security etiquette. It's like you need to educate them first. You need to make sure they understand what the security is and what the protocols, and you need to make sure they realize they're part of your security team. How many people in your company actually realize that part of their job responsibilities is security? Not many. Well, guess what? That's your fault. That's not your user. That is your fault. That is our industry's fault that we're trying to give them all the blame, but not giving them any responsibility, just giving them the blame for it. they have to have responsibilities. They have to understand what the consequences are, and they have to be educated. Because when you do that, guess what? You have the best intrusion detection system on the planet working for you. Who here has ever put a snort box in place? You know, an intrusion detection system running snort. So you put that box into your network, load up all the default signatures, and you're done, right? Your system's protected. You got signatures running for like 3 seconds when you get bombarded and you realize, okay, no, that was a bad idea. You can't do that. You have to fine-tune your intrusion detection system. You have to fine-tune it. You have to keep it updated. You have to keep it working. Well, I'm sorry. That's the same thing with your employees. You have to fine-tune them. You have to educate them. Show them where to go when something happens. Show them who to talk to, what number to extension to call. It's like what email to send a suspicious email. You have to do that. You have to fine-tune that intrusion detection system as well. It's not just out of the box. And when it comes to that, when they start realizing that, are we switching? There we are. It's like you have to let them know that you're watching and that there's repercussions on those things. I love this one. You can actually do adorable kids caught by dad after painting themselves on YouTube. That's the search for you to use. And it's really great because it's like as you talk to them, as you see them talking to them, they're like, I don't know what happened. And they're like, should you be punished for this? No. Why? It's like, it's like we have to understand, and you have to let your employees understand there are real world consequences to what happens online. If someone walks away from a teller in a bank and they walk away from their cash drawer and they leave the cash drawer open, are there going to be repercussions for that? Yes. It's jeopardizing the physical security of the bank. It's creating an unsafe environment. It's like, and they will they'll administer punishment on that. They walk away from the computer that can give them the same access to online funds, and they don't lock that workstation. What do they get? Someone sends a funny email to them, change their wallpaper, it's like put a picture. Why? Why aren't they being held to the same account? What happens online has real world consequences. And we're not making those consequences known to them. We have to start educating our employees that there are real world consequences for what happens online. It's like I did one time a while back, it was a really funny joke, so I'll do it again, is I play a lot of, I'm playing Call of Duty right now. It's like, it's Call of Duty 4, so yes. It's like, it's a really good one, actually. It's like, because they screwed the last one up horribly. It's like, so I play PUBG and Fortnite, for the Fortnite fans. It's like, but you know how I play? Especially Call of Duty. I love Call of Duty. Because it's like I go out there and when I'm playing, it's like, it's not these tactics. There are some guys that get online and they take it way too seriously. It's a game, okay? It's like they're talking about, okay, I need you to go out this way to the right, and it's like you go to the left, and we'll flank down the side and like try to draw fire, and I'm going, YOLO, Leroy Jenkins, pew, 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 America, and I'm just running down, just running and gunning. And you know what happens? I get shot a lot. It's like, and I die. But that's okay, because I respawn. And as soon as I respawn, pew, 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 America. Well, I'm like running and gunning again. My team hates me. It's like there was one match, really seriously, right before I left, I got a match where I got like 2 kills and like 12 deaths. But it was fun. I had a blast, okay? It's like trying to work on a new gun too. It wasn't just me. It was me. But it's like, but yeah, so I love that. But if you put electrodes on me and every time a bullet hit me, I got shocked, would I be playing that way? No. I'll be like, pew, pew, America, pew, YOLO. It's like, that's how I'll be fighting. Because I don't want to get shot. I don't want the real world repercussions on this. So if your users don't have any real world repercussions, why do they care? It's our job to show them what those consequences are and make sure that they understand those risks so they will not do them as much. It's like we keep talking about stupid users. It's like I worked in a facility once and broke into a facility. It was a research facility. Mostly everybody was PhDs, way smarter than I'm ever going to be, ever. It's like even with like unlimited access to Wikipedia, it's just not going to happen. It's like, and they still on their monitor had their password. And the funniest part was, it's like the password was, the one above it was actually really a good one, really thought out in special characters. And then the one below, that one was scratched out, and then below it was just like a really simple, all lowercase one. I was like, okay, it was just too hard for that other one. It's like, they're not stupid. None of them were unintelligent. They're way more intelligent than I was. But it was ease of use. It was like how are we going to teach them these policies, and they just want to do their jobs. If you think your employees are stupid, I've got one test for you. Take solitaire off your computer. Take solitaire off of all the companies and computers. See how quickly that comes back. That will show you exactly how resourceful and innovative your employees can be. I caught a guy from an insurance, I didn't catch him, but it's like I met him. It's like from this insurance company. He went to a DC 214 meeting, a hacker group meeting in Dallas, and the only reason why he went there was because his insurance company, installed a proxy that was blocking Facebook from their network. And he wanted to go, and he researched, and he looked, and he was trying to find hackers to help him be able to circumvent the proxy. Do you know how kind of initiative that has to take? It's like, I mean, to go out and search and then go like, okay, I'm going to go meet this group of hackers, and then I'll try to find someone. It's like, how does that work even? It's like, how does your brain work to make that your solution? It's like use a phone, for God's sakes, you know? But no, this guy wanted it on his desktop. It's like, I mean, I give him credit for the fact that it's like that he was, dedicated. It's like, that's about it. But still, so your employees are inventive. They're creative. They're employees for a reason, because they do their job well. It's like, they're not idiots. They're not stupid. If they were, you shouldn't have been hiring them. It's like, so it's like, you got to understand, it's like, you got to let them know what their consequences are and give them those boundaries and let them know that if they do something bad, something will happen, not just on YouTube. But we make the stuff complex. We make it unnecessarily complex sometimes with the security policies and our other. I love this. This is from a while back where it was, and all the hot takes that were taken on Twitter about this. This is Kanye West inputting his security code in the White House. By the way, his code was 000000. And before you laugh, that's only 3 zeros less than what the nuclear launch codes were in the U.S. for over a decade. Okay, because America, we did it better. We did 000000000. Because we're from the government, we're here to help, right? So it's like, so there you go. So it's like, still, it was like 6 zeros. It's like, and a lot of people like to make fun of that, but this was the best take. Lots of folks will laugh at this. We did. But I think it's a useful illustration of how security features fail when security decisions get offloaded to users who see them as annoying obstacles. Who attacks the OSI model layer 1 through 7 anymore? I don't. It's boring. It's like, it's hard. It's difficult. And it's like, I require tools. I go after layer 8, the human layer. Because we put all these security features, and you've got these web proxies, you got these like web development, you got Chrome tabs, you got all these warning boxes that are used. I'm telling you, if I send a link to your employee and it says there's dancing gerbils on the other side of this box, and when you go to that website and there's a warning that will say, hey, our firewall detected proxy, human intrusion device has decided that this may be a malicious site. Do you want to go to it? Yes or no? There's dancing gerbils. Who's not picking no? Yo. It's like, they're going to select yes. Because where are the repercussions for it? You can't have technology solve the problem because there's always going to be able to be a human that can override it. So it's like, you have to understand that's what you need to educate. It's like, your security features are great. And Ben 10 I saw a talk of his recently in San Antonio. And one of the things that he said, I think is also true, is that your company should be able to survive a click. I'm not saying humans are your only layer of security. I'm not saying throw out all your firewalls and IDS systems because you got people. No, never saying that, okay? I'm saying they should be a layer of security. They should be part of that. Your technology should be able to withstand a click, but your humans should be able to report when the click happens. It's like, or before the click that it occurred. You have to be able to show them those things. Now, another thing is on this talk, because this is a different rant than I usually do, I may have forgotten to mention that this is more like a panel talk than an actual rant. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to ask you guys a question. It's not question time with Jason, it's question time with you. And don't worry, if no one raises their hand for the answer, that's okay. It's like I will randomly pick one of you guys to do the answer. And if you think you're safe in the back, people in Johannesburg thought they were safe too. I ran like all the way to the back and asked them one. And that was a way longer run. So don't test me on that. So I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I just can't wait to hear what your answer is, and we'll go from there. So here's the first one. What is our biggest challenge in INFOSEC when it comes to users? And there'll be someone to translate from Romanian to English. There's no excuses. You're not getting off that easy. So yes, you right here in the back. Yes.
One of the biggest challenge is fighting with ignorance, with the ignorance of the users. Because they are often confusing us with leash. And they are thinking like a dog. We are the leash, they are the dogs. We have to say to them, you can cross this border, and it's your job to protect me.
Right. So and I like the fact that you used ignorance, because ignorance is different than stupidity. Ignorance is a lack of education. And that's exactly what they are, a lack of education. It's like we have to start showing them that it's like, because we're not giving them the boundaries. It's like we can't just be the leash, and I talk a little bit later about that. I talk a little bit later about the fact that what we have to do is educate them and do an outreach to them. They don't have to come to us. It's like, one more. It's like, yes.
The board, you need to convince them that they need to make place and money and time for educating people at all possible levels.
Right, exactly. We have to get upper management buy-in to the security process, which I do talk about in just a second. So I'm glad we're on the same theme here. Yes?
Usability.
Usability, yes. We're making it hard to do work. I mean, and that's one of the things about security, right? It's like we make things difficult. So it's like difficult if it's difficult for the users, it's got to be difficult for the attacker, right? Hardly ever, right? It's like, but that's what we like to think anyway. It's like, so it's like we have to understand, it's like, it's got to be streamlined. It's got to have good usability. One last one, yes.
It's practice. So a friend of mine, I'm not going to call names, they're doing trainings and they're doing pen tests and they're doing even social engineering engagements.
Right.
But the company is large,
right.
Very large. And even though all the staff one way or another passes the trainings, right? And they answered well on all the results because they're not practicing the security practices.
Right, yeah, they go enough to do the class, but then they don't actually put it in real world scenarios where they keep going.
The thing is, you cannot train 1,300 people or 10,000 people, and you cannot control what each one of them is doing, and you cannot blame them for that either. So if one of your users go and enters their company credentials on somebody else's laptop, for example, which is a very common use case, it's very difficult to prevent, right? Or their Facebook credentials, or whatever that's company related, it's very difficult to prevent. And you're always going to be reactive about it. And when it does happen, you're gonna, they suffer the consequences and they learn and they get better at that particular security aspect, but the rest of the company won't.
Well, and I agree with that on point, almost all of it. But one of the problems I do have is like, say you can't do it. It's like, yes, you can. It takes the training. It takes them understanding. If you're a teller at a bank, you go through practice. You go through training. You go through practices where they practice a bank robbery. If a guy shows up in a ski mask and a shotgun, people know how to handle that. Tellers know how to respond. Yeah, just like I'm awake. I took Red Bulls. I'm good. It's like, hello? Okay, so this is to keep you awake, I guess. It's like I'm already awake. It's like I guess I got to keep you awake. Yes. Touch not the blue. Okay. Exact user error. No, I wasn't even touching it. That's recorded evidence. I was not touching the blue side. Okay. And the whole thing is blue on one side, on the side. So okay, but I will not touch the error. So I'm sophisticated. It's like so what we'll do is like so yeah. So I do agree with that. It's like I just lost my whole train of thought. You're welcome. So let's go to the next one because there's another one. And this one is, how do we engage users to be part of the security process and not part of the problem? Yes, you right here. Hold on, let them get a mic over there that hopefully won't blow up in our faces here.
Where?
Right here. Hold on. You gotta share your knowledge with the world.
By having good defaults.
By getting defaults. Explain a little bit more.
I mean, make it easy to do the right thing, the safe thing, and hard to do the thing that's damaging.
That's very good. One of the things that you can do you realize that if you're using Outlook, it's like, I'm sorry, but one of the features that you can do when you got the Exchange server is you can actually put in on every email that comes in, you can have a button that says report. It's like, so if someone sees a suspicious email, all they have to do is click that button and it goes to your information security department to know that a suspicious email has been received. How many people have implemented that feature? That free feature. It's free, come on, as in $0. It's like, how many people have done that though? That will streamline it. That will make it easier for them to report, make it easier for them to see something suspicious. There's another option in the Exchange server that anytime an external email comes in, you can put in the subject line or the body of the message right at the very beginning in big yellow letters with overlaid in red, highlighted, whatever. And it says, coming from an external source. It sucks. It's really ugly looking, and users usually hate it. But if I got an email coming in saying it's from the CEO, and I see coming from an external email source, I know instantly at that time I'm getting spearphished. That's why it's important. It doesn't have to be pretty to work. Trust me, it's like I'm still working. So it's like that's one of the things you have to understand. It's like make it easy and make it simple for them to use. One here in the very back, and we're going to go to the next one.
So one of the best ways to get people to do something they're not inclined to do is gamification.
Oh, stop. I'm talking about that later. Don't be stealing my thunder.
Sorry.
But good idea. Yes, that's a very good idea. It's like, we should talk about that later. It's like, so let's go to the next one. It's like, there's another part of my rant. It's like, so I think whenever I talk about, I'm trying to say something bad in a very nice way because I still have to go back to the country. But one of the best examples when it comes to actual security, not understanding what they're trying to secure or how to secure it properly, the TSA never fails to not give me a good example of that. Because that is like, when I call TSA the security theater, it's basically, way less entertaining than what I'm saying. Because what are you trying to secure? Does everybody know how your business makes money? It's like, do you know how your business and your infrastructure works? We may know that. We may know how the networks connect. We may know how the business partners connect. But do you really understand what you're trying to secure and what's important to the company to keep producing? Some companies can go a day without emails. So if an email server goes down, they can go a day without that. They can go a week without a web interface. Some companies can't go more than 5 minutes without being in jeopardy. It's like, do you know exactly what data your company needs to protect? What is critical for their systems to survive? Because we treat, in information security, we like to treat everything like a cookie cutter. It's like, it's just this one pattern. It's like they have to have the firewalls up and running. The IDS needs to do this. It's like the DMZ has to be connected. Some don't even use DMZs. That's a whole other horror story. But it's like, all these other things that they have to understand. But if you don't understand exactly how the company is making money, how the business units interact with the outside world and with each other, how can you properly detect it? Because if you're not doing that, then you're just like the TSA, just going, okay, if it doesn't fit the pattern, doesn't fit the pattern. Oh, it fits the pattern, do this. It's like, doesn't fit. We can't do just signature-based. There has to be critical thinking involved. You have to understand what you're trying to protect. It's not always the same. Every single company is unique. It's like you have to understand how they make the money and how they're trying to, so you know how to defend it. Now, another thing is, there we go. One of the things that is incumbent on us and information security that we fail all the time to do is talk to the executive management. How do we talk to executive management? We go in there and we tell them, it's like, oh yeah, we've had a problem with our IPS, and it's like in our firewall and our proxies, and it's like there was a UDP thing with heart bleeding, and then we had like this shell shock, and then do all these buzzwords, and then we get upset at the end of the meeting when the executive manager is like, I don't know what he was saying, but it's like, whatever. It's like, we don't need to deal with that. It's like, they're handling it. You have to learn how to talk to management. Management does not need to learn how to talk to you. It's not their job for them to understand all your technical jargon. It's your job to talk in ways they understand. What's one of the best ways that management can understand where you're coming from? For you to get buy-in to the process, what's one of the best metrics? Money, but numbers. Every year you go to the end of the year, you go to your management and say, hey, notice how nothing really happened this year? Well, if you give us $2 million more, it's like, we'll make sure nothing happens next year. How does that work for you? Is that working good? Give them metrics, give them numbers. Show them how many times the firewall was hit with an actual sophisticated attack. How many spam emails got caught in the email gateway? How many virus alerts went off? How many IDS signatures that went off that actually had to be responded to? Those are all numbers. Numbers equal metrics. Metrics is something they understand. Give them a monthly update. How many systems in your company are patched? How many are, say, currently patched? Give them metrics. Give them the numbers. Let them see that you're actually doing something. Because we usually don't. It's like that quote, your successes are secret, your failures are public. Yeah, that doesn't work. It's like you got to show them what you're doing. You got to show them with numbers what's happening so they actually see where that money's going, to see where that budget is going to. Give them those metrics. Don't make them the pointy-haired boss. It's like make them actually someone that's actually figuring that out. Make them someone that's actually an ally. Treat them like that. They're not somebody to avoid. They're somebody that should be part of the process. And if they're not part of the process, you're going to have a problem. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that fund you. And when we talk about executives, we got to talk about users. My first job in information security, I sucked at. And that's not being self-deprecating. I was horrible because I treated everybody like a suspect. I was like, okay, what have they done? I don't know. You got your badge on? Okay, good. It's like, all I taught my users at my first job was how to avoid dealing with me. That's what their security policy was. Don't piss Jason off. You don't want to deal with that guy. He's a little weird, a little off. It's like, he looks adorable, but trust me, he's not. It's like that was what happened. It's like I didn't come and approach them in a way that made it where they wanted to talk to me. It wasn't until later when I realized, when I became approachable to them, when I started showing them that I was not just there when something went wrong. I was just not there when they screwed up, but I was there helping to protect and secure their jobs and keep them employed by making sure that we were secure. That's when I started becoming an ally. That's when they started realizing that we were all on the same team. We were all trying to accomplish the same goals. That's when they started coming to me when they noticed something wrong. When they noticed something wasn't right, they would feel comfortable coming to me. If your users are just trying to avoid you, how can you really make sure that you're being secure? How do you know when someone's going to contact you if they see something, if they don't want to deal with you, even if they find something, maybe they just don't want to talk to you. So, I mean, not you guys. You guys are adorable. I'm sure they'll talk to you. But everybody else, no. It's like you got to be able to be approachable. You got to let them know that you're part of the team and that they're part of the team, that we're all together in this. Now, another one is, what is the biggest impediment you're facing in doing a more effective job? I promise someone wants to raise a hand because the last time I picked someone randomly, their boss was sitting right next to them. It was really awkward because I still made them answer the question. So who's this? What is the biggest impediment you're facing from doing more job? What's stopping you from doing a better job? Okay, cool. Yes.
I love the management.
Just the management?
Sometimes the management and also sometimes the skills. Oh, if you do not have the correct skills, you won't do an effective job.
So you got to get skills. You got to get the training budget. Training budget. And training budget needs management. So that's one of the things. Yeah, that is a big problem. It's like one of our biggest problems is trying to get proper training and making sure that we understand. Because trace me, it's like, you know, when my bosses see me at Black Hat, they're like, "You're training? You're educating yourself?" It's like, "I just saw you in pajamas yesterday." So it's like, yeah. So sometimes that's hard to sell. But you have to do that. You have to show them where the effects are. You have to show, and once again, just like metrics, it's something that you can show. Do news articles that talk about that. It's like show them where reports and studies that have shown that education is important in doing that. Who's got another one? Oh, I will go back out there. It's like, I need the exercise. Okay, we'll pick on somebody over on this side. You're smiling.
Oh, shit.
That doesn't count.
I have no idea.
See, no ideas. That is a big impediment. It's like in information security. It's like if you don't have any ideas, it's like, how do you go? So no, I don't think that's what you meant. Okay. Well, yes. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, well, sometimes you, by yourself, you are the largest impediment. You put barriers for yourself.
Oh, that's deep. That's a good one. I'm going to steal that one later and take credit for it. It's like, but sometimes we are. Our preconceived notions of what's supposed to be done, what's supposed to be secure, actually works against us. It's like sometimes we can be the biggest impediment to this security protocol because we know we're right. There's nothing more scary than a righteous man, right? It's like, I know I'm right. I know this is the way it's supposed to be done. And sometimes that is an impediment because we're not opening up ourselves to other ideas and other ways that we can get it done and still accomplish our goals, but maybe not in the way that we thought was the best way. And one last one. Can someone give him a mic? I'm not going to run out there again because I'm old and tired. Oh, ouch! He just said I could use the exercise.
I guess I just wanted to kind of comment on this, that maybe the resistance that you're facing with this particular question is that people don't exactly want to expose what may be considered as vulnerabilities in their infrastructures. When I'm talking about impediments I'm facing in doing a more effective job, I'm effectively sharing some weak spots within my infrastructure in my organization.
Well, that's true, but I did not ask you what servers do you have open up onto the internet. Okay, I'm not asking those kind of questions because Shodan's already told me. But no, but that is a good point. We don't like to admit, and I'm going to go and work that around a little bit, is like the fact is, hold on. We don't like to admit our failures. It's like I gave a whole talk on nothing but my failures because I think it's important that we have to share and acknowledge those. Because if we don't acknowledge the fact that we're flawed, it's like, how are we actually going to improve? It's like, so I think one of the things that people do, it's like when you come to these conferences and you do that, you always want to share the success stories. It's like no one wants to share how we fail. It's like, did the Wright brothers just automatically learn how to fly a plane and build a plane? I think there was a trial and error in that. Edison, horrible person, but he still, over 1,000 different filaments before he got the right one. So it's like, so we have to have flaws. We have to have mistakes to better learn and to better perfect. So I think that's one of the key things is that you have to make sure that you are ready to admit when you've made a mistake because that's when you learn and that's when you improve. So, but I wasn't asking for port numbers and I wasn't asking to see what, if your server was patched for MSO 17 or was it 1710? Yeah. It's like, so yeah, I wasn't asking that because all of your servers are patched for MSO 1710, right? Okay, at least lie to me. Thank you. I like to sleep at night. So let's go to the next one. This one I think more people will share on. What is your biggest accomplishment as it relates to creating a more secure environment at work? Not everybody's hands up at one time, okay? I can only do like one or two. Oh, no, you already done one. You've already done one. You've already done one. It's like, and I made you do that one. Sorry if I knew we were going to do this one. Come on, who's going to raise their hand? There you go. Right here. This gentleman right here. Oh, right there, and then you. Okay, yes.
I think. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
One of the biggest accomplishments relating to that, I think, is leading by example. So basically, teaching people that clicking on different attachments in emails, for instance, is bad when you don't know where that email comes from. And what I usually do is hold like 5 to 10 minute meetings with some of my colleagues and teach them what can go wrong if you actually click on that attachment.
That's very good. It's like leading by example is a very key thing. And I think one of the things that you need to be talking to is your management to show them how they need to lead by example. I had a boss one time, a CEO of the company, he owned the company, and we had a policy that if you did not have your employee badge, you had to get a visitor's badge and wear it for the day. It's like, and one time, it was a Monday, I remember walking by, and it's like, and I said, hey, how's it going? And he was like, oh, pretty good. And I'm like, that was odd. He usually, comes over and says hello. So I walked backwards. Did you have a good weekend? Oh yeah, it was really good. It's like, it was great, it was fun. It's like, and I'm like, do you have your badge? CEO of the company looks at me and he's like, no. And I'm like, come with me. It's like, and I walked him to the visitors, to the receptionist to get a visitor's badge. And he put it on. Was that cool for me? No, I was a jerk. It was all the credit went to him. Because he said in that moment that the policies that I've implemented go for everybody, including me. And when people saw that, did anybody forget their forget their employee badge and have a problem getting a visitor's badge? No way, because if it was good enough for the CEO, it was good enough for everybody else. If that CEO would have said, I'm too busy right now, I own the company, it doesn't apply to me, then everybody that reports to him would then say, oh, I direct reportedly to him, that doesn't necessarily affect me. And then everybody that reported to that person was going, well, he doesn't do it, and I report directly to him, so therefore that, and then you have nothing. You have to have the CEOs and the CFOs and all the Cs and the Os and everything actually buy into this process, and they have to live it as well. And you need to explain it to them in that manner, that if they are too good for that policy, then everybody is too good for that policy. They have to live with it. They have to live by example, lead by example. Another thing is, how do we approach the problem human versus tech? Are we really approaching that problem? It's like we talked about usability and streamlining it. It's like, but are we really doing better about it? It's like one of the things that we have to start understanding is that if your technology solution creates 5 problems to secure that one problem, you still have 4 problems to deal with. Your security solution should not be part of the problem. It's like we have to understand how we put the technology in place, where we put it in place, and is it the best way to affect proper behavior by the user. It's like, it's not just the end solution. It's not just another blinky box. It's like blinky boxes are not going to save us. And yes, I know the new blinky boxes have really cool blue blinky lights. That's still not going to solve, okay? That's still not going to solve the problem. We have to be better at approaching the situation. We have to understand where the actual issues are and protect against that. And once again, that goes back to education. Make sure the users understand what they're supposed to be doing, what the responsibilities are, and what the technology can and can't do to protect them. Because if they just rely on tech, if they rely on, well, I should be able to click a link and y'all should be able to, I don't really have to worry, I'm just going to click away on everything because we're protected, you're going to have a bad day. It may not be tomorrow. It's like it may not be next week. You're going to have a bad day. So it's like you need to be able to assure and tell your employees that technology helps. Technology is part of the solution. They're the other part. You got to have both. You can't just have one. And how do we make effective change? How do we deal with that? And here's where the gamification comes in. This is a startling revelation to most people, okay? And I'm glad you're sitting down for this. Employees don't care about your data. They don't. They don't care about your company's infrastructure. They're just doing their job. I know it's a surprise. They're still getting phished at home. They still don't know where their children are going to and who they're talking to on Facebook. They don't know how to change their privacy settings. They're still on Craigslist, scams. How do they, if they're still getting that kind of attacks, how can they actually care about your data? They're never going to care about your data. Make them care about being security conscious. One of the things about this, and it's really cool, is can your company afford 4,000 euros a year for better security? Most companies will agree, I can spring 4,000 euros a year. 1,000 euros a quarter, you have a drawing for your company. How do you enter that drawing, you say? You didn't say it, but I'm going to imagine that you said it. It's like in Romanian, because in my head I can translate. So how do you do that? Well, this is how you do it. It's like if you report a suspicious spearfish, you get entered one drawing, one entry. If you stop someone from coming into the building trying to piggyback off of you, you get like 3 entries into the drawing. It's like if you see a regular fish email or you see something suspicious, you can make up how many entries they get, but you turn it into a game. You turn it into something that they can actually respond to, that there's something in it for them now. It's a chance for them to win a €1,000 gift card or, you know, and some said, it's like, well, we don't want to do it that way. What we do is we actually say if you win, it's like your whole department gets to go to lunch. We supply lunch for your department. And so you become the hero of that department. There's a whole bunch of different ways, but you're gamifying it. You're making there's something in it for them. Because guess what? They still don't care about your data, but they do care about winning. There was one guy who came to me and said that his company narrowly averted a millions and millions of dollars breach on their network, and it happened because of one lady. She received a suspicious email from one of her coworkers, and she reported it. It turned out that that employee was compromised. The network was already compromised. They had taken his identity. They had taken his workstation. They were trying to escalate privileges, and they were sending out these other emails to other coworkers to get their systems compromised. Did she know that? No. They asked her why she reported it. And she said, well, it was slightly suspicious, and I thought this was a test, and I wanted to get another entry for the drawing. Period. That was it. She thought it was a game. She thought she was going to get a reward for it. It's like, and she stopped $1 million breach happening because she thought she was going to get an extra drawing in the lottery. It's a really freaking good lottery they had. That's how you do it. You make it a gamify. You make it in something for them. You show them that there are real world consequences when they do something right. It's not just about the real world consequences when they do something wrong. Give them something to reward them when they do something right. Show them that they can work to being right, not just trying to avoid being wrong. And so how do we battle a constantly changing landscape and fight against battle fatigue? How do we do that? Keep challenging ourselves, making sure that we understand that this battle is not going to end. And that sounds depressing. It is a little bit. But it's also challenging. It's like you're not in this job, hopefully, because you think it's a good career choice. You're really going to be disappointed down the road. It's like, this is exciting. We are constantly battling a changing and ever-changing foe and a different kind of battleground every single week. That's awesome. Make sure you capture that and make sure that your employees are part of that team. It's, I mean, you want to, when you do games, it's like, you know, when you play Call of Duty, you want to have a good squad. It's like, I shouldn't say that because I'm a horrible person for a team, but still, it's like you want to have a good team. You want to have good teammates that are properly armed that can back you up and be part of the solution. It's like, make sure that your employees know that you're working with them, that they are part of your team and you feel that they're part of your team and that you can work together to do that together. And when you do that, it's not as bad because you're not just going alone. So, no, it's dangerous to go alone. Take your team with you. It's like, that's what you need to do. That's what needs to happen. And I'm going to end it on one little confession. The title of this talk was, "You're right, this really isn't about you." And I have to admit, I lied. This was about us. This is a wake-up call for our industry. It's like we need to stop talking about technology like it's going to be our savior and start understanding how the users and us working together is what's going to solve our problems. It's not just more blinky boxes. We have to get better at communicating, and we have to get better at protecting our networks by empowering our employees. And until we stop looking at them as a liability and start seeing them as an asset, we're going to still get pwned. We're still going to have a problem with these breaches. So that's the end of my rant. No, seriously, I'm done. Thank you. Does anybody want to do any questions toward me or?
Thank you so much, Jason. Yes, we have time for about 3 questions. So yeah.
Put me on the spot now? Oh, here we go. It's like revenge. Him and then him. There's a.
Can my friend get a hat?
That's your question?
I'm serious, yeah.
He hacked the question and answer session. That's awesome. I say yes, you can get a hat for that.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm glad everybody benefited from that educational answer there. It's like, yes, this one. If it's for a hat, you're no. Okay.
Do you think that applying pay cuts to users that are not willing to help and are just honeypots, to say like this, it's an efficient way of dealing with the issue?
Having honeypots?
Just
pay cuts. No, I say it's like this. It's like I'm one of those guys. It's like and I like to be all nice and kind with people, but it's like after the first spearfish attempt, it's like or they fail the test, it's like they don't get written up with their name, but they have to go through re-education. They have to sit through a one-on-one lesson on how to do it. It's like I think on the second time, then there's disciplinary action where it's written up in a report, and the third time they're fired. It's like pay cuts creates an internal problem. Then you have an insider threat.
We performed a phishing campaign, and we had one user. The phishing campaign was like this: web page, login, password. That user entered the password for the first time.
Right.
He got redirected to an awareness page. He exited the page, entered it again, and did this for 5 times.
Then he should be fired. Sorry. I mean, it's like, and a lot of people will disagree with that, but it's like if they're jeopardizing or so that you got to understand there's a difference between ignorance and willful maliciousness. It's like, it's like if they're stubbornly trying to do the wrong thing, then what other protocols, what other procedures that are part of their job that are also doing the wrong way? So it's like, so I don't say pay cuts because if you do a pay cut and that kind of negative reinforcement, then if you didn't have an insider threat before, you did, you're going to definitely have one afterwards. So it's like, so yeah, so I don't agree with pay cuts. That's just going to just militarize your workforce against you. Yes, you, this handsome man in the front row.
Hi, I'm a big fan, so thanks for taking my question. I was curious, you mentioned taking things as far as terminating employment. Yes. How do you feel about that when you're doing an in-person advanced campaign? Like if somebody is going up against a Jason Street, or someone like Snow in like a real world environment, the odds are they're going to lose.
Well, exactly, that is true. It's like, but that's not where you get. That's not where the repercussions come from. Those are educational. I've never done when I've talked to all my clients. It's like I've never put it as like this is a vulnerability assessment. This is a red team. I call it a security awareness engagement. When I do the engagement, they understand that no one gets any repercussions from it. It's educational only. It shows them that a real world problem is like. I had one client, a CEO, who hired me to do a spear phishing campaign for his company. It's like that guy was like, I want the names of everybody because sometimes we're gonna have to do some. And he gave me a scope of work that saved my life. It's like, which was I could pick one person to 100. It's like, but I had to be successful and I had to give them all the names. I only picked one person in that company, was the CEO of the company. He clicked the link within 12 hours. It's like, so it's like, and I never got hired back from him. But still, that was the point. It's like, those kind of things are educational tools. They should not be verifying, your security posture until after the security roles are implemented. A lot of people want to have a security team or a red team test, or it's like a social engineering test, as the actual test before they've done all the education part of it. If you have not done for a whole year your education, your training of all your employees and teaching them these things in-house, from the in-house, doing security awareness campaigns from in-house, it's like you're not ready for a security assessment like that. You have to make sure that they're trained first. You can't just throw them to the wolves and go, you don't know how to fight wolves? Come on. It's like, it's like you've got to teach them those things. It's like, and then test it. It's just like the bank teller statement. They get trained for these things for when something actually happens. It's like they're not just said, oh, you should be careful. There's a big guy in a ski mask. He may not be just cold. It's like, it's like they give them training. They give them how to react and respond. Those kind of scenarios have to be trained for. They have to be conditioned on how to respond to those kind of attacks. One more.
Last question.
Hi, thank you for the talk. I want to go back a bit to what you said about teach them that there are repercussions. How do you introduce that in a company where that hasn't been the case until now? For example, I want to introduce that in my company. Wouldn't employees see that as, that wasn't part of my job until now, now it's a new thing I have to do? How do you...
Two parts.
How do you prevent that from like angering them? And then, as you said, then you have insider threats, right?
Yeah.
Because they hate you, because you are doing them, you're forcing them to do something they wasn't part of their job until now.
Right. Well, two parts. Well, the first part is they're always going to be angry. Okay. I'm not going to be able to tell you how to make them not angry. It's like, but you explain to them that when you've in your company have had new procedures in place, right? New technology has come out, new operating systems have come out, new software has come out. They had to be educated on, correct? That's how you explain that to them. It's like, we have a new policy, just like when new softwares come out, you had to be retrained. We have to retrain you on this because it's our security policy. That's not what you focus on, though. You focus on new hire training. The majority of your direction of your institution of the new policies should be directed at your new employees. Your new employees are your highest target rate. It's like, that's who they're going after, is your new hires, because they're, one, they don't know all the procedures, they don't know everybody where everybody works, and they're eager to please because they're new on the job. So they want to be helpful. It's like, and there's nothing more effective for a bad guy than a helpful employee. So it's like, so you need to start and spend 80% of your time getting this into new hire training. It's like, then spend the rest of that time making sure that everybody in the rest of the company understands and implement and buys into this process. And they buy into the process just like they buy into the process of you updating your operating system. Just like they buy into the process of having to use new software. They may not like it, but it's part of their job. If they want to feed and clothe their children, it's like they're going to go and do the policy. It's not a opt-in. It's not a personal choice. It's like, it's mandatory to keep your job. You have to follow these rules. It's like, if you're a delivery driver, it's in the rules, you have to stay the speed limit. It's like, you don't get to judge when you feel like it's not necessary. That's part of your requirement. So you make that a requirement. Well, still with you and me, but no, yeah, exactly. But yeah, so, and I'm not repeating that question. So, so if you have any more questions for me, I'm taking away time from a very wonderful speaker that's coming up next. So feel free to catch me outside, and I'll be around the rest of the day too, and tomorrow if you want to ask me some questions one-on-one or get in hug. So talk to you later. Thank you.
This was awesome. Thank you.